Our missionary of the week this week is Emily Skinner, and she is involved with a missions organization called Mission Training International. And that organization is located in Palmer Lake, Colorado, not too far from us. And so this means that she goes to church here, and we get to see her each Sunday. But she's involved with this important missions organization. One of their tasks is to equip families and equip children who are going on the mission field, who are on the mission field, to deal with the cross-cultural experience of going to a foreign culture, a different culture. That is challenging. And so she equips them and trains them so that they can do that effectively and share the gospel effectively in a cross-cultural setting. And so we're grateful for her. We're grateful for her work, grateful for our partnership with her. And let's hear more about her and her ministry now.
Hi, Vista Grande. I'm Emily Skinner. I'm one of your supported missionaries, and I serve locally here at Mission Training International, or MTI. We're located up in Palmer Lake. And I work specifically in our Compass program, which is designed to be a 4-week program that provides training for missionaries who are headed overseas long term. Our heart in Compass is to equip these missionaries with tools to help them be effective and to last in their overseas callings. As gospel messengers, of course, but we also want them to have personal vitality and health as families and as teams. As I said, they come to MTI to spend 4 weeks gaining language and culture acquisition tools, and they experience it all through an intentional curriculum and within a safe and loving environment, and alongside a community of similarly called individuals and families. And yes, I did say families. At MTI, we place a high value on training whole families. So we have a parallel program and curriculum called CHIPS, or Children's Intercultural Programs. And that's where my main role at MTI lies. I am the assistant director of our Compass or Pre-Field CHIPS program, and I'm the primary trainer for some of our youngest participants, the 2 and 3-year-olds. And our desire in CHIPS is that the kids and the teens that come to us with their parents feel just as seen, heard, and valued as the adults. And we want these families to be healthy and to thrive together in their ministries. So we give them common training and vocabulary for the unique transitions and experiences ahead of them. Here are just a few of the topics that we cover to achieve this.
One of the first lessons all of our participants learn is paradox. Those seemingly opposite or contradictory feelings that can actually occur at the same time. It's hard enough for us adults to deal with emotions and their impacts. Imagine the difficulty for kids, and especially in such a time of transition. So we use a pair of ducks to demonstrate paradox. A yay duck and a yuck duck. It might look silly, but this is a powerful tool that helps children especially give voice to and name their feelings. And then to know what to do with those feelings. To talk to God. To say, God help! Or, thank you, God. This tool also gives parents a common vocabulary with which to talk about those feelings with their kids. The transition lesson is another huge one for our families. We use the analogy of a bridge with 5 stages to demonstrate the transitions in our lives, the biggest for our participants being their transition to a new culture. Those 5 stages are settled, unsettled, chaos, resettling, and resettled. This idea is illustrated to my toddlers using the story of Noah's Ark, and they make a poster showing the different stages as weather. They have a little boat that they can move along through the stages, and we even put their family's picture on it, which reassures them that they'll be loved and together with their families as they go through it. The older classes talk about the story of Joseph from the Old Testament and make their own bridges, where they're able to draw or write how they feel about each stage and talk about what each stage looks like. And through it all, they're held in the hands of Jesus. The older kids also get to experience part of this lesson with their parents, where they get to go across a makeshift bridge of chairs and exercise balls together and discuss its impacts. Again, it's another effort to train whole families and give them common vocabulary. And possibly one of the most important and unique lessons is that these kids will be TCKs, or Third Culture Kids. Basically, that means that these kids will grow up in a culture other than the one their parents grew up in, usually America. They develop a sense of relationship to all cultures without having full ownership in any culture. Many TCKs grow up without a sense of home, or they lack a sense of belonging. They might struggle with identity issues, mental health concerns, or with forming relationships as they move between cultures. These are not small struggles to have, especially on top of all the normal emotions of just growing up. And this is one of the main reasons why we want to train these kids and their parents, to make them aware of what life is like for TCKs and to help prepare them for how to deal with it. So we use Play-Doh and paint to help demonstrate the idea of being a TCK, mixing two colors or cultures to create a third. Blue for their passport country, which again is usually the United States, and yellow for their new country. Then they combine the two colors, causing a swirl and eventually creating a new color, green. One color or culture plus another creates a third. And just like you can't separate the colors again, so it is for TCKs. The mixture of cultures is permanent, and their real sense of belonging is with others of this third culture, or other TCKs. But we want to make sure our TCKs know that while the TCK label is one that never leaves, and it certainly does come with some struggles, it can also be a special blessing. TCKs have a unique perspective on the world that most people don't have, and they can make unique contributions to the world if they're prepared to be different. And ultimately, there is hope. Jesus himself was a TCK, and our identity is ultimately in him, not in where we're from or in what we do. We are creations of God and his deeply loved children. Our home is with him. And so the better the kids and parents understand this, the better they'll be able to embrace the coming challenges and joys.
I hope you can see just from those few lesson examples just how vital training is. Participants often evaluate the Compass program with statements like, "Now that we've been through Compass, it's kind of scary to think that it would have been possible to go to the field without it. I think it may have saved our ministry before it started. And I feel much more equipped to leave well and enter well, to fully immerse myself into my new culture, to learn a new language, and to live out the calling God has set before me. I also feel more equipped to help my children through this transition. Our family has talking points and tools to navigate much of the unknown that's to come." And here's a personal testimony from one of MTI's own trainers as to the importance of training in her own story.
Hi, my name is Allie Hauser, and I serve at MTI with the Breakthrough class, ages 7 through 12. I served in Uganda for 6 years as a discipleship coordinator at a primary school for Ugandan children. When I first went over to Uganda, I actually didn't have any pre-field training. My organization thought that I had been there about 8 times before I moved. I thought that I knew the culture and that I'd be fine. Turns out it wasn't quite the case. And it was a really hard thing for me to not have that training. I met some missionaries who had come through MTI through World Venture, which is an organization that we partner with here at MTI. And they actually taught me about some of the things that they learned here. One of them was paradox. And it was just kind of an amazing thing for me to think about, that I could actually have two very conflicting emotions at the same time, and that it was totally okay, because there were parts of living in Uganda that I absolutely loved and parts that I really didn't like at all. And so to find out that that was okay was really a really special tool for me to be able to have. I came through Compass after being on the field for about 5.5 years. And I remember sitting in class and actually thinking so many times, I wish that I had known this before I moved overseas. There were times that I was like, that took me 2 years to figure out on my own. That took me some broken relationships before I figured that one out. I didn't really represent Christ well as I was trying to learn that one. And so many things that I just, if I had known them, would have supported me in such a better way. And I often wonder how I might have served longer overseas if I'd had more training. And so I'm so blessed by the ministry that we do here at MTI, the tools that we're able to give missionaries before they go overseas so that they have better support, so that they can actually do the ministry that they're called to do while representing Christ well to the people groups that they're going to.
MTI has been around for nearly 70 years, and in just the 6 years that I've served there, we have trained over 2,400 missionaries who are taking the gospel to 127 different nations across the globe. You can see them here shaded in blue on this map. I personally have trained about 180 children in my time at MTI so far, and I am so grateful and humbled to have been called to MTI and to be included as even a small part of God's story in His workers' lives. And I'd love to invite you into that story as well, to invest in and worship with us as the gospel continues to go forth and thrive throughout the world. Here's a word from our Compass Program Director about the importance of your partnership.
Hi there, my name is Deb Hefner. I'm the Compass Director. Compass is the pre-field training for missionaries going long-term to the field, for Missionary Training International, or MTI as we like to call it. And I have the opportunity to say just a little bit about Emily Skinner and what a crucial part she plays in what we get to do here in preparing missionaries headed to the field. Emily works with the young bucks who are going to become the older bucks on field, and she has the opportunity to help them have just practical life skills. But it's not that she just works with those kids, which is crucial all in and of itself, but she's also helping to shape families and give families the opportunity to do what God has called them to do. Emily's part in what we do is huge, because we don't just simply train the adults and figure, they'll do fine on the field if they know what's right. We actually train every single age here, and that includes the folks that Emily works with. Now, part of her ministry is not just the kids, but it's the parents, and helping the parents understand their children, help their children go through transition. There are a number of things that Emily is so good at. We also call her the kid whisperer, the baby whisperer. She's amazing with kids, guys. I don't know if you've seen her. You need to see her with children. That she's amazing. Anyway, part of her ministry here is raising support. All of us who are full-time trainers, we raise our own financial support. So with everything in me, I want to encourage you to get behind what Emily's doing, because she's playing a huge part in us preparing the next generation of missionaries heading to the world, literally the entire world. We have over 150 organizations who send to us, and they head to every place out in the world that needs Jesus still. So you can be a crucial part of what Emily does, as she's a crucial part of what we get to do in seeing people prepared to go to the field for the name of Jesus. Thank you.
And I would love to have all of you as partners. One way that you can do that is by praying for me and MTI. I have prayer cards available in the church's missions credenza downstairs. And I also send out newsletters about 8 times a year, so please feel free to contact me for information on how to receive those updates. They'll give you information from our programs that we've been having and give you more specific ways that you can be praying. Another way that you can partner with me is financially. As Deb just said, we raise support to be able to work in this ministry. That means that my salary comes from God's provision through the generous donations of churches and people like you. Would you, as individuals or families, small groups or Sunday school classes, prayerfully consider giving financially to my ministry? As we all know, cost of living is increasing around here, and it would be helpful for me to raise at least an additional $500 a month to help pay off my student debt, to sustain my life and ministry here, and to save for emergencies in the future. I may not be the one going overseas, but I am using the gifts and the resources that God has given me to equip those who are going. And by praying for and supporting me, you are using your resources to invest in them as well. Hundreds of individuals and families each year, and you're helping them thrive as they spread the gospel. Thank you, Vista Grande, for being such a missions-minded church and so supportive of me and Mission Training International. I am honored to be a part of this congregation.